Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to our drawing of and welcoming the Year of the Tiger. As you know me, I'm Alina Smolyansky, a certified instructor of NeuroGraphica and also an artist. Today, according to the lunar calendar, is a new year, new month, new moon. It's a good thing to start something new, as it traditionally, but it's also very good sign at the beginning of the spring, according to Eastern calendar, and many countries on the Far East are celebrating the beginning of the new year. Also, it's known as a Chinese calendar, as Chinese New Year, but many other countries are celebrating it as well. And many other traditions are centered around the end of the winter and beginning of the spring. And officially, we can say that the spring begins. And I can see now that even some buds are becoming bigger. And I saw even a blossom a couple of days ago. Probably it's going to be cold again, but at the beginning, well, let's welcome the spring and new year. And a tradition of this new year always is a good idea to think about good things, happy things, and there's many traditions and cultures around the world. It's a good saying that how you begin a new year, then it will continue. So let's focus on much as we can on positive and good things in our life and the life of the world. So today, according to the Chinese calendar, as you know, there are 12 animals, and today's animal is a tiger. This year is the turn of the tiger to come on the stage. It's a big animal, it's supposed to be the king of other animals according to Eastern traditions. It's a powerful, brave, and also kind, decisive, and all the other attributes are good, but there are also some not so, I wouldn't say good, but not so comfortable. As the animal, it could be take leadership position, authoritative, maybe aggressive. But this year, surprisingly, it's much less so aggressive because it's a water tiger. And according to the tradition, I'm dressed in blue, the color of the water. And I will also explain a little bit of colors if you don't know that tradition, Eastern tradition. There's also a 5-element theory, viewing the world as consisting of 5 different elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. So water, and the year of the water tiger is supposed to be very auspicious, and it anything to do with money. It's a year of transition, but also it's smoother transition. If you think about water, how fluid it is, how streamlining, how accommodating water is, and how it takes the shape of the vessel. And with this, I think I should turn my drawing, the camera, and we can start drawing. So you can see, as usual, we have our drawing material simple. I have markers, and I'm going to draw with a black marker today as the color of the water, which is a color to be from blue to black, depending on the water and a different depth. It's almost very dark, from dark blue to black. Most of my colors are, I selected my colors, blue, green, maybe you have different colors, and supporting maybe lilac, and I see we need red and yellow. And we do a very quick just explanation. This is not so much as needs to be explained just for this drawing. So for first, so let's take any marker. So you know that we're drawing a tiger, but at the same time, I would suggest thinking about it, qualities. You know, the tiger's powerful, brave, strong animal. So all these qualities that you can think about them and how it applies to your life. Or maybe it doesn't apply. Maybe we would like to think about something how protect, and the tiger could be protective. And actually in some traditions, I was really surprised to see the tiger, the sign of tiger in Asian countries are worn as protection. So we'll have an element of protection, a little bit of protection as well, as we're going to use this circle. This is the most protective element, the figure, and also the line. And first I would like to do a little bit of warming up exercise. So to let my hand to draw freely and the entire surface of the page. Yes. For those who are completely new today and do not know anything about the neurographic line, I can give a brief explanation that I typically give in my free classes. This is the line that doesn't repeat itself, and it doesn't look like itself in any portion, in each segment. So why we draw this line? We're trying to bypass our controlling mind, analytical mind, and traditional thinking to overcome our patterns, our stereotypes. And habits could be good, but some stereotypes are not so easy for us to. We would like to change, but some stereotypes sometimes just prevent us from doing it. So the one and Pavel Piskarev invented this line. It's very much like similar to nature, but at the same time, to draw this line, we have to overcome our thinking and the mind, because it's such a conservative organ and so much it cares about our preservation that it wants to stay in control, and because it wants to predict events, it would like to, it very much likes straight lines. This is invention of the human mind. They do not exist in nature. And also it likes patterns. And eventually, if we want to draw something and we just think about, oh, I'll just let my hand to draw something freely, like intuitively, intuition will turn into something very, the mind will use intuition to draw a pattern, a form, shape that it's very familiar with. That's easy, and there's also very good, please understand me, drawing patterns is a very good way of settling, calming the mind. It's also good for its own purpose, has its own purpose. But the line that we're trying to do, we are trying to overcome our stereotype that reinforce our habits and to draw the line that is known as neurographic line. So at the beginning, just please focus. So when you draw the line, observe your hand, just focus on your hand and make sure that the line doesn't repeat itself. So even if when I draw along a straight line like this, I vary the movement of my hand slightly. And I have explanation how to draw, exactly how to draw this line, but it's in another video. So if you would like to watch it, it's in my video, the neurographic line explained from a seed to a tree. So, and also one of the elements that we're going to use today is, of course, the power of the circle and rounding. So I will start probably with the power of the circle. The circle It's one of the most known important symbols throughout cultures, and it's been like that throughout the ages. And why is that? Because it's symmetrical, it's ideal, it's perfect. It can represent the sun, the moon, and also anything positive. It has no beginning, no end, and a symbol of timelessness, infinity. So how does it relate to one of the elements, one of the principles of NeuroGraphica that we're doing now? And it's known as rounding. For example, if we have two lines, and if you do not know exactly, but I'm sure that everyone has seen those NeuroGraphic Art drawings online, and every corner is treated in such a way, is filled like this. So sometimes call it like curving and rounding, but the essence is that there are no sharp corners. And there is a reason why we do not want to have sharp corners in neurographic drawing. Because the triangle is also a powerful figure. It's also as powerful and is old as a symbol of the circle. But it's quite different. If we perceive the shape, the round shape, as something positive, harmless, comforting, the shape of the triangle is just the opposite. It has sharp corners that we automatically, like in the very deep in our subconscious mind, associate with danger, with discomfort. From in nature, if you think about sharp rocks, objects, wild animals, fangs and claws, and thorns, and trees and flowers, but also weapon, it's everything that has a sharp edge, something that can or intended to hurt. So the idea is behind this that when we draw the lines, and of course they intersect like this, they cross each other, we get four corners, and if we have four corners, we need to round them. So we transform from something negative, what we have elements of association with something dangerous and maybe negative. We turn this with our own hand, watching it, into something positive. So we change impression from sharpness to roundness with our own hand. And that's very important. So we observe, we do it, and in this way we change impression. And since the mind likes to complete things, it imagines that something that here has a circle. It just nicely fills in. I know that it's very tempting to draw circles in every intersection, or maybe not every, but sometimes. You do not need to do that. The mind does it for you. It just fills it in, and we always imagine that there is something round, something positive and comforting. So that's basically what we're drawing today. We're using the line and the circle. And the rest we'll be drawing. So now it's time to draw. For this preliminary exercise, and we will use the picture of the tiger. I may show you something that we're going to draw, the idea, so you know what we're going. I practiced and I have a few drawings like this. So it's something like, you know that we're going. Something like this. So this unfinished drawing, but I had a few of them when I practiced yesterday. So we will begin with a circle. So imagine that it's something that we're doing it to protect ourselves. Again, it's like a circle. You may consider it's even a mandala. You may use a pencil for this preliminary drawing, but I will use a marker so you can see it on the screen. So I will. So by the way, if you see that a Sharpie pen, I do not use Sharpie markers like this. I do not use them. I know that many artists in the NeuroGraphic Art use them. I don't use them and I do not recommend them. But Sharpie pen is different. It has a 0.5 millimeters nice pen, and I find it is quite useful. So now you can see the line. So I imagine there is a circle. So I draw the circle. If you want to create ideal like a circle, you can use some round object, like for example a plate, and that's what I'm going to use today now. Just to make it round, I'll just put a plate, and I know that I have a circle. And I divided. Now I'm going to construct this drawing that I showed in the beginning, and I another marker. So I have axis, one in the middle, and I divide it into 4 parts, like a axis. So the center. First, I'm going to draw on the body of the tiger, because imagine that he is lying in a position that's something like this. I'll show the real tiger photograph, but more like curled up. So his back is towards us, and it's about maybe less than a little bit less than middle. It's almost like a yin-yang sign. And his tail is his spine, and his tail is curled like a big cat. So now the place is for his head. So we begin with this, again, a circle. A little bit oval circle, but round. And I divide it less, like if it's the middle, a little bit less than here, than the center line. And his nose. It's like I'm drawing his face. So, but a little bit higher, okay? So triangle. Just about here, just above the center line, his cheek starting. So when you look at this one, in this position, he looks a little bit down, and my tiger are looking more up, like his head is higher, lifted. It's almost like a heart. His nose, his position, his eyes, his chin. So another half a circle. So as you can see, everything is almost like circles. Circle, circle. His ears, let's see, like, again, it's symmetrical. It's on the side of his head. round, half round. We can add a little bit more shape later. The preliminary drawing, and of course his eyes. His eyes are not big, not like a cat eyes. It's a little bit smaller in relationship to his head. And you should remember, tiger's eyes are yellow. And I will probably add a small his pupil. Just make it black. So the eye, and then I color his. So here's approximately a sketch of the tiger. So we have preliminary drawing, and now we can, what's called, we constructed a drawing. This is almost like a composition beginning, and at this point we can start adding the neurographic lines. So the same circle is his fur, his neck, his ears, his head, and also with a black marker you can add his stripes. Remember that it's not a drawing, a realistic drawing. It's more like a symbolic. So I convert all my lines into neurographic lines. So now I have a even stronger marker, wider, so I can connect it. And I may just go around to full circle. You have a nice round shape, like a mandala. Make a little bit shape like his nose and his chin. Okay, so now we can, we can add stripes, the pattern. So to help with this process, I copied the photograph, so you can see how interesting it his back, the pattern on his back. There's a variation, of course, patterns, but mostly they're going around, down, and the back they almost connect, like it almost remind me of the pattern, like like flowers, stem with the leaves, like a stem, like a flower stem with leaves coming from the stem. So you can imagine, I've seen so many photographs, various photographs of tigers yesterday. Amazing creatures, very, very powerful and dangerous. Okay, so I will start with the stripes adding. One of the most noticeable pattern is the tiger pattern with the stripes. So, and also about NeuroGraphic, I would like to make a comment about the connectedness. So all the elements in the neurographic drawing, in a traditional neurographic drawing, the way we study it, they're all connected. All the elements interconnected. So if I start the line, I do not drop it somewhere in the air. I connect it to another line. So all the elements are connected. So there are no separate elements in NeuroGraphic Art drawing. Like similarly, there are no separate elements in nature. So everything is connected. We may not see it as connected, or like physically on the physical level, but on the level of energy, level of consciousness, this connection exists. So that's what we're trying to do in NeuroGraphica, is just seeing that connection, trying to feel this connection. And now that I'm drawing those lines, I feel like much more relaxed with this pattern. Drawing, it's like lines. It's a very good exercise of practicing the neurographic line, drawing this pattern on the tiger's back. It's a couple more stripes, and I think it'll be enough for now for this. That gives an idea. Yes, there was a very good comment that no two tigers have the same marking. I truly believe that I think on the back of my mind somewhere I've read it that even in spite of similarities, those animals, their prints on their skins are unique, as unique as our fingerprints. Yeah, kind of fingerprints. So I know only tigers, and I observed it yesterday when I looked at all the photographs that I've seen, enjoying that variety and amazing looking at those animals. I noticed that the patterns and the shade of skin is different, but also the patterns, they're wide and narrow, and of course there are a few kinds of tigers, like some are from India and Bengal tigers, and some of them in Asia and Siberia, the most powerful tiger from Far East in Russia. It was the biggest. He's the biggest tiger. There's very few of them left, and they are lonely creatures. So if you know that tigers, if they hunt and live on their own, so maybe it's not also corresponds to the qualities of person. If you know tigers in your life, or any tigers who are present here, you know that there's a lot of individual qualities. Like, so I would like to continue now with coloring. So we have this our first basic composition. Then also I didn't mention about rounding. So if you feel like you need to calm down, to relax, we have many angles in this painting, and I would suggest rounding, if not all of them, but some of them. So especially those sharp corners. So how much rounding? It's based on your personal feeling. If you want to feel more comfortable, do more rounding. To calm down, to relax, more rounding. If you feel comfortable, maybe less. But as a rule, I round all these corners that I have wider lines. Okay, now we have one tiger here. So with so many lines, rounding will take a long time. So as I leave it to you as a homework, and I will do rounding also after the class. Just go to add more details to that too. But now I would like to start coloring. And coloring, as I mentioned, was based on the 5 elements. It's only a suggestion. If you feel like you would like to color to apply any other color, please use your intuition, use your imagination. If you want to leave the tiger the regular color, it's fine. But I will just mention about the 5-element theory. So we're here with the water. Water is black and blue. Light blue and mostly dark blue. You can limit of water. So there are other elements, like wood, fire, earth, and metal. Okay, so there was a question around what? Around the intersections. And you see that when the 2 or more lines cross and they create an angle, especially acute angle, I create like the small curve and round and fill it in the corner. So like here I explained, when it was 2 lines and I added a element, a curve here, and to mitigate this inner conflict, sharpness. It's much more explanation about it, why we do that. But it's essentially what we do. Rounding is essentially we're dealing with our own ego, with our like disagreement, non-acceptance. So rounding is one of the elements what we're trying to, I wouldn't say to build acceptance, but remove non-acceptance. So with the colors, so with coming back to the colors, so we have this 5 elements. So if those, if you know the theory of the 5 elements, some elements are nurturing, they support other elements, and there's a little bit of conflict with other elements. For example, water supports wood, and metal, it's white, also supports water. But at the same time, water is you can see counterbalances or even extinguish fire, but fire can warm up water. So they have a relationship between those elements. So in there, if I'm starting with dark blue with the element of water, and I see how it feels, how much water I can tolerate in a tiger. So again, it's my suggestion and how I vision it to combine the animal and the element. But you're welcome, of course, to follow your own intuition with how it feels for you. Water is an element of the symbol of wisdom, depth, but also it's cold, it's fluid, it's not steady. So there are many elements that are very positive about water, but there are also elements that when too much water, it becomes too difficult, too cold. So, and I'm feeling I would like to include water right now, but as much as I add more water, I might feel like it's getting colder. I need to counterbalance it with other element. This is a little bit shading. So what are other colors that I feel like including? Of course, I would like to include one of my favorite colors. It's lilac. Lilac, purple, yes, and especially it works with blue because it's not fire. Like fire is the opposite. It's like it warms up water. And when I apply too much water, I feel like I need a little bit warmer to make it warmer. But not fire, because if you combine the two of them, that could be like maybe too much. So I use a lilac that's that water, like blue and red combined. It's like a cold red. Let's see whether I can maybe a little bit pink, like rose color. I'm not sure about red if I want to include it. Probably not yet. What other colors I would like to include is a yellow. It's a sunny color, a warm color to bring some warmth into this drawing. So what other colors I would like to include? Okay, so it's light blue, this is dark blue, and I have different shades of blue. And of course I would like to include green. That's so if too much water, so that's there's energy. So if we have energy of water, we want to move it somewhere. So it's not just stored as water, but the next element is wood, which is green, and water nourish wood. So there is a movement of energy. And of course, if it's supposed to be prosperous here, and green, and the color of money. So I have a nice green, jade green element. And first I just try my colors, and I include them without putting too much pressure, too much energy into those colors. I just test how much of each color I would like to have, and then I can start coloring it as I color the picture. I don't know whether brown is not my color. It's so I'm staying away. And metal, the metal element that supports water, it's nice to include it, but metal is or silver or white. So when we have white, we have plenty of white paper. So we always have enough metal in every drawing, so I do not include the metal element because it's always present in color of paper. It would be interesting if I see if I have a black. I have some ideas how I will continue with this drawing. Maybe silver, also a metal to support the color of the element of water. It's almost I see that our hour is almost it's almost gone. Yes, the eyes. It's a little bit sun. Yes, it feels good. So what else then we can do within NeuroGraphic? I suppose that we can continue, finish our drawing on our own. So this idea is, of course, its connection with this round mandala. What else what are other elements we can include with it? Whereas for me, when I look at this drawing right now, it feels unfinished. I feel like I want to include an extra circle around it. And maybe for protection, but I feel like I would like to include something else, some other element to feel safe. Oh, nice. So for me, this means that I included this is like inner surface of my avatar or something, and I included like a buffer zone here. So now I feel much more comfortable when I have one extra circle around it. It's like exterior. So and also I ask myself, so what I would like to experience outside of me, because this is also matters for me. This is my environment. Definitely I will explore it and to feel it with my lines, with the neurographic lines. So this surface is the page that represents the background, my environment. It's not something unknown, but something I can venture, and I can feel it, and I can interact with it. You may start the lines from your inner circle, outside, or maybe not. It's also based on your intuition and your feeling about this drawing. It also includes a pattern on his tail. You may think of something what you would like to include in the background. Typically, when my drawings, I just draw the lines. To make sure that I pay attention, that I communicate with the environment. And also, I would like to color. Color, it's my thought about the environment. Purple is typically a color associated with a positive like element of mystery, of spirituality, vulnerability. So, and I like this color. So it's outside. It's not only inside, but it's also outside. So I imagine that the world is a safe and sensitive place. So the way how I think about it, so this is my perception of the world and environment around me. I feel I need a little bit more warmth on this drawing, like brighter colors. You can turn the drawing when you're drawing and look at it. I'll do the same. Yeah, a little bit more sunshine. And in this way, I will continue, and I feel like with this kind of drawing, and I would say that probably it's more like defined as NeuroArt. This is not pure NeuroGraphica, it's like art that reflects our vision of the world. With the NeuroArt, we draw based on what we feel, and it receives feedback from it. There is a much longer definition offered by Pavel Piskarev, and I will post it again online in our group. So I will take some time with thinking about this drawing and feeling. It's less knowledge, it's more like what I feel about this drawing. Yes, there was an interesting comment that outer circle feels like a window. It could be. So it's almost 11 o'clock. My local time, it's almost, we've been together for an hour. Okay, so I wouldn't define, this is not even, this is not pure NeuroGraphic art. It's more like NeuroArt that has a different, it's more like to do with vision. And I do not follow all the steps of the formula that we typically include in the drawing. But most of the elements are present. I have my topic, theme, I made a composition, I used the NeuroGraphic line, I used rounding, I thought about my environment. So most of the elements are present. I think there will be a long and interesting story how we'll talk about NeuroGraphica or NeuroArt. We're just at the beginning of this process, and there's a lot of confusion, and I understand that. And honestly, I do not know how to explain that myself. I need to work a little bit more to work more with the NeuroArt, less with NeuroGraphica, to feel it, and also listen to Pavel Piskarev. He's just very much interested in developing this direction in his school of NeuroGraphica. So many projects. This completes our class. I finished my drawing later. Thank you for joining me. I wish everybody good luck with your drawings, and I will see you next time online. Thank you and bye for now.